Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Ann. And if you're still there, hello. And I understand you can't stay up late. And hi, Robin. How are you? How are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody, to So Till We Begin. Shirley's Tuesday, Wind Down Tuesday. Hey, how you doing? Hello to YouTube land and to Facebook land. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad that you're here, that you are stopping by, and hopefully I'll get a whole bunch of people in tonight. We can have a nice, good chat. I hope so. Hope the weather is getting a little bit better than it was. It's supposed to warm up tomorrow, I believe, but it's going to rain here in Maryland. So anyway, but at least it will be warmer, and with the rain, hopefully we don't get ice. So that is my hope. Hi, Bear. How you doing? Hi, oh my goodness, Olive Branch, Mississippi. Hi, Pam. You have to tell me, where is Olive Branch, Mississippi? Every time I see somebody from Mississippi, I want to know how close you are to my little hometown where I um, spent about 16 years down there in high school and college. So, where are you? Where is the largest town to Olive Branch, Mississippi? If you don't mind sharing, appreciate it. And I don't know if you're still there. Hi, Betty. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's across the state line from Memphis. Okay, you're up there close. I guess you're somewhere near Tunica, I'm assuming, um, up in that area, which I am familiar with as well, just across the state line from Memphis, Tennessee. So, hidden on what is that? Coming off of 55, going on to 40, down south, or 49. Tunica is about 30 minutes away. Gotcha, gotcha. Kind of know where you are then. That's that old stomping ground. I tell you, that old stomping ground. Yeah. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you could stop by. And like I said, hi, Betty. And Val, hi. How are you doing? Glad you could stop by. So, um, oh my goodness, I got several people in here tonight. They haven't actually come into the chat, but they're on. So I appreciate that. So we're going to give it a few minutes as usual, and then we'll get started with the presentation or the discussion. It's not a presentation, but it is going to be a discussion where I talk and you guys talk. But a little bit about my week. I went and had that bad tooth pulled. Uh, if you guys will remember, what was it? About a month ago, I guess. It was before the holidays when I had that horrible toothache. And I had to go in and get it looked at and everything. They put me on antibiotics because it was infected and stuff. I didn't have abscess, but it was infected. Anyway, um, the plan was to have it pulled. So the time came for me to go in, and it is or was my lower back wisdom tooth on the left side. And hopefully you can't tell too much, but it still has a little bit of swelling there. I was out like a golf ball a few days ago, but it has come down, and I go in on Friday to have it checked. I still have the stitches in and everything, but it's feeling a lot better, and I'm glad, glad, glad that I got it out, so I don't have to worry about having that toothache again, because that was miserable. And I have to tell you, my oral surgeon, bless his heart, he's been doing it for over 35 years, so he knows what he's doing. And he was great. I did not have any pain at all having a wisdom tooth pulled. And it was under local anesthetic. He I knew everything that he was doing. Even getting the injections didn't hurt. So, that was pretty good because that's usually the worst part. But the injections weren't bad, and he let it get good and dead because I told him, I said, dead me up good, dude. And he did. And all of that went well. But I tell you, Lord, when I got home, ooh, my word from heaven, when that Novocaine wore off, mm, mm. I was down for the count. But I have to say it was just bad for that one day. The other days it was tender, little achy, but nowhere near the pain that I had when it first came back alive because oh, that was rough. But anyway, I'm doing a lot better, so I'm grateful for that. So I just wanted to give you guys that update on that, just in case you look at my face and say, your face look a little lopsided there. Yeah, this one left side lower part of my jaw is still a little bit swollen, still a little bit sore. I'm on antibiotics, so I am not doing the wine today. I am drinking Coca-Cola out of my what is it? Mining, where is it? Mining my black owned business. Minding my black owned business. Drinking Coke out of there. So no wine today. Anyway, so who has popped in while I was telling you my two? Hi, Carol. How you doing? It's warmer in Montana. It's warmer here. I'm so glad here is warmer, warmer than 3 degrees, because that's what it was last week. Hi, Arlene. How you doing? Hi, Debbie. How you doing? Charlene, how are you from Oklahoma? Howdy. How you doing? Where in Oklahoma are you? I've been to Tulsa. And where else? Somewhere else in Oklahoma. I can't remember exactly, but somewhere else. But anyway, and Deborah Vaughn, you're from Virginia. And let me see. Yeah, I'm glad it's healing. Marissa, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah, I'm doing a lot better. Hi, Joyce. How you doing? Joyce from Philly. And okay, Charlene, you're there in Tulsa. Okay, good, 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 good. So I've said hi so far to everybody that is showing up, and look like I got a pretty good crowd of people. Few names that are new to me, and I'm so glad to see that you decided to join me tonight. Hi, Terry. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. That's my daughter Terry, and Gigi is Geek Boutique. I'm gonna get that right one day. Gigas, whichever one boutique. Let me know how to pronounce it, please, because I don't want to mess it up. And you're from Illinois. Where in Illinois are you from? I Gigi. Thank you. Gigi. The S threw me. Okay, Gigi Boutique, everybody. Welcome from Illinois. Where in Illinois are you from? Um, I'm familiar with several different areas in Illinois. And of course, I have family in Chicago, Rockford. I am familiar with Champaign. Um, that's about it. But where, not Bloomingdale, Bloomington. I think that's about it in Illinois that I am familiar with. Oh, another place in Illinois, Blue Island, Illinois, uh, Orion, Illinois, Orin, Illinois. Where is that close to? Where is that close to? If you don't mind sharing. Okay, so it is now 11 after 8. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the conversation today. What I decided to do is to talk about the risk in embroidery. And mainly the risk in embroidery is pertaining to doing um, work for people other than yourself or close friends and family. Like if you're doing it as a business or you have an Etsy shop or you work out of your home or anything like that, and you have customers, that's where the risk is the most high. And I have to admit and be honest about it. What prompted me to come up with this idea, this topic, as usual, is always something that occurs or I hear or see that puts something into my mind to decide to discuss. And I watched um, Jeanette's Baroque Sewing and Craft. I'm sure many of you are aware of her. I watched her live that she did this past Friday when she talked about her $2,000 mistake that she made. And I watched it all the way through. I didn't get a chance to look at it live, but I did get a chance to look at it later on because I wanted to see what happened. And I do remember her talking about those backpacks she was going to do before she started working on it. And I heard her talk about the issue that occurred and how she messed up. She messed up quite a few of the bags, and the bags were $250 a piece. And she chose to replace each one of the bags, and it was a very costly mistake. And she herself says that the reason why, at least in her opinion, which is probably accurate, is that she pushed herself to complete all 50 bags in one night after working all day. So she pulled an all-nighter, and she wasn't able to use her three machines, so she pulled an all-nighter doing 50 backpacks, putting the logos on, um, using one multi-needle machine, and she just wore herself out. And she ended up making a very costly mistake. And she talked about how that occurred, and that was quite painful. It was painful for her, and it was painful for all of us that listen, that care about her, to hear, because that's expensive as heck. That's a lot of money. That would have just put me under, honey. It just would have put me under. And she was blessed that she had a reserve that she was able to tap into and be able to cover the expense and be able to salvage the situation. And so, with that being said, I thought about it. I said, "Oh my goodness, I want to talk about that as well to my audience, and just we can chit chat about situations like that." So, the the first thing that I wanted to do is that you have to think about when you're doing your embroidery work. Like last last week, I talked about when do you feel confident enough to actually make something for somebody or sell something to somebody. And so this kind of piggybacks on that because, as I mentioned, you have to make sure your skill level is there. And the one way to do that is to practice, practice, practice. Now, once you get to the point where you feel your skill level is at the point where you can actually start making items to sell, then you have to make a decision. What do you want to do? Now, when I first started embroidering and with the thought of doing it as a business, I remember listening to Eve from the Baby's Booty because I watched her religiously when she was big into her embroidery. She does mostly rhinestone now. But when I first learned about Eve and first started watching her, she was really, really good and big into her embroidery and doing tutorials and teaching us about how to do um, the business part of embroidery. And the one thing that I do remember her saying is that She did not like taking personal items from people. She liked to be able to get the item herself because she knows where it came from, what it costs, and she can replace it if something happens. Because we all know if you embroider enough, you're going to make a mistake. That's just the nature of embroidery. I don't think anybody, I don't care how long they have been embroidering, doesn't make mistakes. I mean, the machine itself will act a fool on you. We all know that. The machine itself, you can be the best embroiderer there is, and that machine will act a fool on you. You will end up with some skip stitches. You would get bird nests. You would get the material getting caught up in there some kind of way. And if you get a bird nest, then the material oftentimes get caught up in there, and the only way you can get cut it out, you may end up cutting the item itself just to get it loose. So the potential of ruining something is there. I mean, you can't get around that. You have to be extremely careful, but you also have to realize that that's a possibility. So, with that being said, then you have to stop and think about it. What do you want to do? Do you want to only do what you purchased to um, stitch on and sell? Or if somebody says, I want t shirts, I want sweatshirts, I want towels, I want napkins, I want caps, I want whatever, you purchase them and then you do your embroidery on it and then you give them to or sell it to them, or do you allow them to bring their own personal items? That's something that you have to stop and think about because the risk is there. It is definitely there. um, I have to admit I've done both. I prefer to purchase the blanks. I 100% prefer to purchase the blanks. I'm most comfortable with that. And usually, if I'm doing something for somebody and they say, I want t shirts or towels or whatever, then I will purchase that. I know where to get it at a wholesale price. And I would always try to get extra just in case and then go ahead and do the job. However, I have taken on some occasions, not a lot, what someone has brought to me, but not at the price that Jeanette was mentioning. She's been doing her embroidery business for a while, and she's been embroidering longer than I have. And she is an expert. She says she considers herself an expert and therefore she has developed a confidence in herself and her skill that she's not deterred with taking someone personal items and even expensive items. She has even mentioned $250 shirts, $250 backpacks, $500 shirts, just expensive things that she has stitched on. And she says she thinks about, if something messes up, can she replace it? And she feels confident that she can. And so therefore she feels confidence enough in taking on that risk. Now, for me, I would not take anything that is that valuable at this point in my uh, embroidery career. I'm not that brave yet. I don't want anything that's irreplaceable or that would be so expensive to replace that it would be a detriment to my pocketbook because you didn't make any money. You lost money in this situation. You may keep a customer, but you've actually lost money and time and everything. I mean, your loss is double, if not tripled, um, because of the risk that you decided to take. So I just want to throw that out and see what you guys think about that. And I did do some research on it, and I have some information I'm going to share. So let me see what some of the comments. Danielle Soulsmore, she said, "Yeah, I listened to her story too, and I was sad for her." And Carol said, "Jeanette's live was just wonderful. I so appreciated her transparency and willingness to share that with us. Making good of a bad situation is a gift." And Danielle said, "I agree. My machine did act a fool when I walked away, and it will." And hi Felicia, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. So we all know, like I said, we all know that the machine will clown. Now I can remember again uh, where the machine, I'm stitching something, and you think that you've checked everything. You feel like you've done due diligence and you've checked everything. And then the next thing you know, when you're done and everything looks wonderful, and you get ready to take your hoop off because you're done, and you can't get your hoop off because of what? Some kind of way that material folded under and got caught up under there, and now you've stitched this hoop on, on here, and there's no way to get it off without cutting it off, and you've ruined this item, whatever this item may be. I've done that numerous of times. I mean, I've done it way more times than I'd like to think. I know I've done it at least a handful of times over my career, and that just drives me up the wall because you think that you've been very careful, and some kind of way that puppy will slip up under there. I was stitching today, and I normally sit and babysit the machine. But I also like to multitask as well, especially when I know I have things that I need to do. And like today was one of them where I wanted to prepare for today and I needed to do some looking online and what have you, what have you. And so I'm back and forth looking at the machine, looking at the computer, looking at the machine, looking at the computer. But even though I was confident that nothing was under there, every time it moved to the next thing to stitch, I checked it. Is it good? Yeah. It's stitched. I check it. Is it good? It moved to the next. I check it. I just did that the whole time. Now I don't know, and um it really wasn't the fear of something messing up based upon what I saw from Jeanette's live. But I have to tell you, I did an order yesterday that was a relatively expensive coat. I had two of them, and they wanted their logo. They wanted the Right Chest logo, and I did the video on it. Hopefully, you guys seen it. And I could tell these are not cheap coats. And I was nervous. I have to be honest with you. I was nervous. I was like, I don't want to mess this up. What if I mess it up? And I know in my head, I had gotten in my head because I kept thinking about what happened to Jeanette. I kept thinking about it. It was in my head. And I kept telling myself, I'm not going to allow myself to be fearful. I'm not going to allow myself to be fearful. I'm going to, if I had not seen her video, I don't think it would have even fazed me. I never would have thought about, oh, okay, you might mess this up, blah, blah, blah. But after seeing what happened to her, that stuck out in my head. And I honestly was nervous. I checked and I checked and I measured and I looked and I measured and I checked and I checked and I measured. And and thank goodness everything came out fine. But I was nervous. I have to admit, it made me a little nervous. So I'm gonna have to get myself back to the thing. And Robin, you said I would never take that risk. That's why I don't sell my thing. Well, yeah, it depends upon how you feel. Hi, Taisha, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. But yeah, you have to stop and think about do you have the stomach for it to take the risk because it is a risk. So what I have down here is what do you want to do? Do you want to make the money? Do you feel you have the skill or the confidence to take on to something else that somebody brings to you? Now, for me, like I said, I did do those jackets. I was a little nervous, but I also had confidence in my skill. And I knew if I took my time and did all the due diligence that I could, and I also looked at the material and said, okay, if I mess up, can I pick it or loose and it's not going to screw up the material? That's the other thing you have to look at is it recoverable? And I said, okay, take a deep breath, dive into it. And that's what I did, and all went well. But I I definitely oh, excuse me, got the hiccups. Checked and checked and checked and checked before I hit that green button to go. And went on. And so I asked the I said, what when embroidering on a customer's personal item, it says it's important to take precaution and test the embroidery on a scrap piece of fabric before embroidering on the actual item. And then it also says here are some of the things that you can do that can be done to resolve an issue with a problem occurring when embroidering on a customer's item. Now, this does not pertain to a customer's items, the list that they presented. It pertains to embroidering, period. So, just as a reminder, and somebody, I believe it might have been you, Taisha. It was you or somebody that mentioned on Jeanette's live about a checklist, to have a checklist that you go through to make sure that you have everything. Because I know she mentioned thread, and that was the reason why she was not able to use all three of her machines and put her in that panic rush because she didn't have the enough thread. So one of the things it says is check the needle. Make sure the needle is the correct size and type for the fabric and design. A damaged, dull, or bent needle can cause thread breaks, skip stitches, or damage to the fabric because it can cause a burntness. Number two, check the thread. Ensure that the thread is the correct weight and type for the fabric and design. Use high quality thread and check the tension. And not only that, when we're talking about thread, check to make sure you have enough thread for your project. I was doing a project today and I realized that I did not have enough thread of the actual color that I wanted to use. I had to find a close enough color. I was not happy because and this is not a customer's item, so it wasn't a big deal with that. It's a gift, but I knew in my head what I wanted to do, and I knew what color I wanted to use, and I did not have enough thread of the particular color that I wanted. And yes, I'm on a time frame. It would have been okay. This is gift. You can order the thread, get it in, go pick it up, whatever you want to do. I don't have time to go pick it up because I got stuff to do this week, so I couldn't go like tomorrow go get it or whatever. And I had promised that I would have this available by the end of the week. So like I said, it's not in my schedule to do it, and there was no way to order the thread and get it in like tomorrow. So I don't know anywhere where I could have ordered the thread and it would have been overnighted. So what did I have to do? I just, oh my goodness, what do I have that is close enough that I will be happier with, that I know I'm going to have enough thread to finish this project. And so luckily I did find a color that was not my number one choice, but it wasn't bad. So again, check your thread. make sure if you're doing a project, especially if you're doing something for a customer, and they say this is the color that I want, or what have you, make sure you have enough thread to accomplish that job. If you have multiple things, I had an order for 80 shirts once, and I needed to make sure, and I actually went and bought thread because I wanted to make sure I had enough of the colors that were selected to do all 80 without running out. I didn't want to, oh my goodness, doggone it, I ran out. Now I got to figure out what can I use that's close enough. You don't want close enough. You want it to be exact. So you have to make sure you have enough thread. So check your thread. Check the stabilizer. Use the correct stabilizer for the fabric and design. The stabilizer should be hooped with the fabric and should cover the entire embroidery area. So we all know how to hoop. We have to make sure we're hooping. We have to make sure we use the correct stabilizer. Um, and I'll mention this on another list that I have. Um, if you don't have it hooped correctly, you don't have it tight enough, if you don't have the right stabilizer or enough of the stabilizer, what have you, you can have some other issues that can occur. So you have to make sure you have the correct stabilizer. I did my, many of you saw me do the table runner where I did the continuous border. And I did not want to use the stabilizer that I used. I wanted to use a tearaway because the fabric that the runner is thick. It's almost like denim thick. So I probably didn't need a stabilizer at all. However, in order for it to fit into that magnetic sash frame, I needed it to be wide enough to be hooped. So therefore, I had to have a stabilizer. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted tearaway because I didn't want the stabilizer to continue to be on there once it was done. But I didn't have enough of the right stabilizer, so I ended up having to use cutaway because cutaway stabilizer was the only one that I had the size big enough. Now, if this had been something that I was doing for a customer, that would not have worked. That would not have worked because I didn't have the right stabilizer or the best stabilizer. I put it that way. So you have to keep up with your stabilizer stash. And I know oftentimes we forget. We don't check. I know I don't. Put it that way. I don't always check and see what I have. I get so used to using what I normally use, I don't look and see what else is available or what sizes. I know I got it, but oh, do I have the right size? Stabilizer is expensive. And we have to make sure we have the right stash, especially if you're doing embroidery a lot. And I usually am embroidering something every day, at least for sure 2 or 3 times a week. I'm embroidering something. So therefore, I am using a lot of stabilizers. So it's important for me to make sure I keep up with my stash of stabilizers. So be sure you do that. And you have to have multiple types of stabilizers. Okay, it says check the tension. Adjust the tension if necessary. Too tight or too loose tension can cause thread breaks, puckering, or other issues. Now, I know a lot of people are afraid to touch the tension. I don't like to mess with the tension, to be honest about it. You feel like your your technician checked your machine and adjusted the tension and all of that, and that should be great. But that's not really the way it's supposed to be. Your tension is supposed to be adjusted to fit what you're stitching. So you may be adjusting the tension often. Now, in my sewing machine, I do. I don't have an issue adjusting my tension in my sewing machine. I'm very comfortable with adjusting that. In my SE 1900, I adjust my tension all the time. In my PR 1055X, I don't, and I should, but I don't because in all honesty, I do not want to get it all out of whack. Now, have I tinkered with it a little bit here and there? Yes, I have. I have done that. When I felt like it really wasn't where it should be, I have. But I don't do it a lot. But we do have to pay attention to both our top and our bottom, the bobbin tension as well. That's one reason why technicians normally advise you to use magnetic um, bobbins because it's supposed to help with the tension in your bobbin. And you can adjust the tension with it's a little screw on your bobbin case that you can tinker with a little bit, make it loose or make it tight. You can do that. Not a lot, but you can adjust the tension on your bobbin case. But I do recommend if you're not using magnetic bobbins to give it a try. I think you'll be quite satisfied with the fact that it does work. Check the hooping. Make sure the fabric is hooped correctly and tightly. Loose fabric can cause puckering, shifting, and other issues, and you get off register if you don't have it hooped correctly. If you have it um, too loose and all of that, then you can definitely check it. Get that drum. Got to get that drum sound. If it doesn't sound like a drum, the beat of a drum, it's not tight enough. And you need to check it. And then if you're tightening your stabilizer, tighten the stabilizer, not the fabric. Pull the stabilizer, not the fabric. Pull the stabilizer, not the fabric. When you start pulling on the fabric, you're stretching it, you're distorting it, and you can get your design all out of whack. You can pull on the stabilizer to make sure that it is tight in your hoop, but you're not supposed to do that with the fabric itself. So keep that in mind. You can definitely mess up your stitching. Check the bobbin, as I mentioned. Ensure that the bobbin is wound correctly and is the correct type for your machine. Check the tension and make sure the bobbin case is clean. I brush out my bobbin case often, and I use my little vacuum. I vacuum it out and everything. And then they do recommend you use like a credit card. Nope. Sorry. That's not what I meant to say. A business card, not a credit card. A business card, and slip it in that little metal area where you put your thread through to clean it out. A business card, not a credit card, a business card that you can use to clean out your bobbin. And clean the machine regularly. Clean and oil your machine to prevent lint buildup and other issues. So you need to be brushing out that bobbin area, and you're supposed to keep the top area all clean. You need to keep the area where your needle, the the uh, um, the needle bar, where the needle is going through. All of that needs to get cleaned up and dust off and everything. Get the lint out off of it because it can cause issues. Use a different needle. If the needle is causing issues, try using a different type or different size of needle. Pay attention to your needle. If you're beginning to have thread breaks, threading, bird nests, or loops, one of the things that you might want to consider is changing out your needles. I know we've had the conversation and people ask, how often do you change your needles? Some people don't change until they break. I don't recommend that. Your needle will let you know it when it needs to be changed because it will stop stitching correctly. You will know. When I start having the first time I have a thread break, I'm like, okay, what's wrong with the needle? Now I might not change it right away, but if it break that same needle, the thread breaks on it again, that needle's coming out because I know it's got to be that needle's getting dull, so the needle needs to come out. So needles, I'm not gonna say they're cheap, but they're not that terribly expensive, and just keep you a whole bunch of them. And I have a jar that I use a little medicine jar, a little medicine container, you know how your pills come in. I got one of those, and that's what I use to put my needles in, so I don't be throwing needles, in the trash and people get stuck with it. And once I get it full, I just pitch it. So something to protect to put your needles in. My jar is almost full. I know I've gotten rid of a lot of needles, and they may not be all bad, but better safe than sorry. I'd rather put a new needle in there than mess something up. And then it also says use a different thread. If the thread is causing issue, try using a different type of thread uh, or brand. All brands don't work well on your machine. Like my SC 1900 hates that sim thread. It will not stitch sim thread for nothing in the world. It will not. It hates it. Not to say it's bad thread. My machine just doesn't like it. So you just have to figure out what thread works best with your machine. Some threads work better than others. Not to say they're bad threads. They your machine is your machine. Is sometimes. But anyway, that's what the AI says, and it is good advice, and it's something that we talked about all the time. Um, the other thing is embroidery on personal items can be challenging and risky, as we know, and some of the high risk issues that might occur is again fabric puckering, thread breaks, needle breaking, bobbin thread showing on top of the embroidery. That's very important. This can occur if the bobbin is not positioned correctly, damaged, or the bobbin casing is damaged. The solution is to replace or rewind the bobbin, or the tension can be off, or you don't have the right stabilizer. So if your top thread is showing, that's an issue. Um, Design not showing up on the stick. Now that on your USB stick, this can happen if the design is in the wrong format, size, or unzipped for your machine. The solution is to check uh, how to transfer your design. Now, I've seen on Facebook in one of the groups where people said my design didn't show up, and you have to make sure you know what format your machine uses. So if you have something digitized or you're doing a design for somebody and they brought your design or whatever, you got to make sure there's no virus and stuff. But then you also have to make sure it is in the correct format for your machine. And you need to know what format your machine uses. The brother machine uses the DST, D is in David, S is in Sam, T is in Tom, and it uses PES, P is in Paul, E is in Edward, T is in Tom. DST and PES. Now, those are the only two formats that the brother machine will use. You need to know what your machine uses. Now, if you have a software like an Embroidery, then you can convert whatever you have into the format that you need, which is another reason why I love Embrilliance, because it does have the format conversion where I can take a Husqvarna, a JEF, whatever that is affiliated with, the XXX, I think is Singer, whatever, and I can convert that to my DST or my PES, or most likely DST, and I can use it in my machine. So you need to know what format. That information is in your user manual. So there you don't have an excuse not to know what your format is for your machine. You just need to know where to find it. And I've always recommended that you read your manual. Somebody, you need to open up that manual, read a few pages at least, because some things are just something that you need to know. And one of the things you need to know is the format of your machine, the type of bobbin that you use. Do you use a L? Do you use a, what is it, 15? Um, and you need to know what types of needles that you need. Flat back or round commercial. You need to know these things. So those are the basics. You can't operate your machine correctly unless you know those basics. So when you're getting a brand new machine, crack open that manual and look at those first few pages, those setup pages. Usually you get a quick setup folder with 3 or 4 pages to it. If you don't read anything else, you need to read that because that tells you how to set it up. It tells you all of the basic things that you need to get started. You need to read that, and it's gonna tell you your format, uh, design format. It's gonna tell you what needles you need. It's gonna tell you what bobbin you need. It's gonna tell you, it won't tell you what kind of thread that you'll need, but it will tell you what the weights are, the weights for the bobbin, the weight for the top, so forth and so on. Things like that. It will give you that information. So you need to check that out. Um, Bird nesting, we talked about. And of course, this is when the thread collects between the needle and the fabric, resembling a bird nest, and that can be very, very tight. And you may need a special tool to get that out, like an X-Acto knife or a hook. And there are bird nest kits that you can get that are very useful. Dime has one. That's the one that I have. It runs about $40, and not saying you got to get that one, but you need something to get to use for your bird nesting. Um, this can interfere with the fabric's mobility and increase the tension on the thread. The solution is to adjust the tension and hoop the fabric properly. Those are not the only solution. You need to check and make sure that you have to take the needle plate off and clean all under there. Make sure you got all of that loose thread, and I'm talking about the 10 needle machines, the multi needle machine. When you're using your single needle machine, you just have to take you need to take the needle plate off as well and clean all that out. So it's the same concept. You got to clean all of that out, get all that thread and stuff out, blow it out real good, use your brush real good, whatever. And then you also need to check your how you had your bobbin put in, and you need to check and see how did you have your thread threaded, and you need to check your needle. Those are the main things that you need to check if you're having bird nests. Skip stitches. That was something that I had a skip stitch and I had no clue what was going on. Why am I having these skip stitches? I was like, I take my machine in. There's something wrong with my machine. That's when I first started having I was having bird nest issues and I was having skip stitch issues. I was having the timing issues and I was having the wiper blade issues. I was having all this at one time, and I was like, "What in the easy is going on with this machine back here that cost me all this money? And I'm gonna have to take this thing in and get it looked at, and so forth and so on." And did not realize it was a simple solution. I took the needle plate. I looked it up. I Googled. Google is your friend, as my son says all the time. Mama, Google is your friend. And I Googled, and I found out I needed to take the needle plate off. And when I got down in there and saw all of that loose thread and all of that, I took a picture of it. I was tickled and in shock. It was so much thread in there. It was just absolutely ridiculous. It was giving my machine the blues. It was giving my machine the blues, and everything was messing up. All I had to do was clean that puppy out, clean it out real good, change my needles, rethread the machine, make sure my bobbin was okay, oil the machine, put it back in there. No more skip stitches, no more looping, no more uh, bird nesting and thread. That situation caused all those issues with my machine. Just that the machine was dirty. It was telling me, look, you have ignored me long enough, and I'm not gonna do another thing until you clean me up, mama. And when I did that, it went back to acting like it was supposed to. And I honestly thought that I had to take the machine in. because it was just clowning. It was acting a complete fool. Now, Felicia, I just looked over here and you said, what is a wiper blade issue? The wiper blade is this uh, little piece of metal that comes out and grabs your thread. Now, this is on the 10 needle. So I'm talking about the 10 needle. I'm not talking about a single needle machine. This is what happens on your multi-needle machine. But it's a blade. It is a blade, and it's a piece of metal that you can see that comes out and grabs the thread and cuts it. That's your wiper blade. And it can get stuck. And all you really have to do is take your scissors and snip it, and it'll go back in place, and you keep on sliding. That happens. I don't know why that happens, but I know when that's just one issue that happens. But in my situation that I was talking about, I was getting timing, wiper blade, bird nest. I was getting skips. I was getting everything at one time. It was just multiplying, multiplying, multiplying because I needed to clean the machine out. The machine was just getting all out of whack. But that's what a wiper blade is. It's nothing to be fearful of. It scared me at first because, like I said, I thought that my machine was broken and I had to get it fixed. Now, when I get the wiper blade error, well, actually, I don't even have to wait for the error because it'll grab it and it's a cut the thread, hit the button, it keeps on going, and no big deal. So um, that's what that is. Okay. Machine running slow. This can be due to the foot control. Now they're talking more about a single needle machine. Speed control, lint or dust under the plate, or the bobbin winder. The solution is to inspect and clean these parts and check the motor if the machine has not been used for a long time. Damaged needles, this can result in thread breaking, skipping stitches, and so forth and so on. And stitching on thick seams. This can cause the needle to break or the fabric to pucker. The solution is to avoid stitching on thick seam or use a different type of needle. And they do have needles that are specific for quilting and the thickness and all that kind of stuff. And you have the walking foot and all of that that you can use on your single needle machine that's going to help you be able to stitch on thick seams. So those are some of the things that the AI came up with that you can avoid in making mistakes when you're stitching. And that's not just necessarily for um, customers. That's just in your embroidery period. Now, can you fix your mistakes? Sure, you can. Now, I ran across this article and I haven't read it completely, but I was pretty intrigued by it because it talks about it says sometimes you have garments that cannot be replaced. It is very important to have the skill to be able to fix these mistakes just in case you have items that customers have brought in to you and you do not have any way of replacing the items or if it costs way too much money to replace. Now, what this particular person is talking about, she has a 10-step process to show you how to match up a design that has been taken out of the hoop before it was finished. Now, I highly recommend you do not unhoop your project until you check it. I made that mistake when I first got my machine. And I wanted to do this beautiful butterfly on the back of a jean jacket. And I never did get a chance to finish that. And I think I still had a jacket somewhere. I don't know. But I was so disappointed because I have not found a jean jacket that color since. I was just about through with the jacket, almost finished, and did not realize it because I don't think I had my machine a week. If definitely no more than 2 to 3 weeks. It was spank brand new, and I thought I was all that in a bag of chips. So I'm gonna use put it through a jacket back, duh. And this intricate design, and I use this beautiful butterfly that's on the machine. I don't know how many colors, just crazy. But anyway, almost completed the design. Then I got this error message telling me that my hoop wasn't large enough, and that just blew my mind because I could not believe how you gonna tell me my hoop is not large enough when one, this is the largest hoop that the machine would take, and number two, I've already been using this hoop for over an hour, stitching out this design perfectly, and then all of a sudden I get this error message saying the hoop is not big enough. Change the hoop. How am I supposed to do that? And I did not know what to do, who to call. I was just at my wit's end and couldn't find any information in the manual, couldn't find anything anywhere, didn't have sense enough to Google it or go on YouTube or anything to figure out what I should do. I was disheartened. So I unhooped it and I took the doggone thing loose because I was like, oh, this jacket's ruined, blah, blah, blah. And then later on, I found out the only issue was my arm had gotten loose, and all I had to do was tighten it. The arm was had gotten loose. Trisha, yes, tighten the screw on the hoop. Yep, I didn't know that then. I did not know that then. All I had to do was tighten it. I did not know that. Lesson learned. Trust and believe me. I know that now. I was so disappointed. And but had I had this information about how to do this, maybe I would. I don't know. If I can find that jacket, I might try to do this. But anyway, this talks about how to do this design thing. Now she's using a small design, and she is got this whole process. And like I said, I didn't read it, but what I said I was going to do was to tell you guys where to find the article, just in case you're interested in it. So I'm going to run this across here. Let me see if I can um, do a ticker tape to scroll across this website just in case somebody is interested in it. She is called the Embroidery Coach, and it is Joyce at the embroiderycoach.com. Let me see if I got that right. Joyce at the embroiderycoach.com. So I'm running that across. Joyce at the embroiderycoach.com. She has this article called Fixing Embroidery Mistakes. And she talks about how you can fix it. She has a 10-step process to show you how to match up a design that has been taken out of the hoop before it was finished. And she said this is a very common mistake, especially if you are running a multi-head machine and you ran out of bobbin thread, but the machine did not stop. In your haste to unhoop your item, you discover after it is done that it had not finished. So she is showing you what to do, how to fix it, and all of that. So if anybody is interested in this particular article, that is the site. If you want to write that down, I'm going to let it run for a few minutes. If you want to write it down, you can. I have not read it completely, but I just thought it was intriguing that she is showing you how to fix that mistake. I, again, encourage you to never unhoop your your project until you've checked it. When I take my project off of my machine, be it the big machine, little machine, I take it and I examine it. Because number one, I'm looking for jump stitches. That's the main thing that I'm looking for because I want to cut my jump stitches and stuff like that if I have any. So I'm looking at it and checking it and examining it and everything and giving myself the opportunity to look at it and see, is this done right? So, in case I do want to redo something or what have you, because you can't stitch over. If something didn't stitch out, if it missed a few uh, stitches or whatever, and you want to stitch over it or whatever, and I've actually had a project where I realized it stitched the wrong doggone color because I programmed it incorrectly or thought I had programmed it for this color, but I had it for the other color, whatever, whatever. And I get it and look at it and I say, "Oh, that happened to me when I was doing the Christmas tree." I did that. I was like, oh no. And I just stitched over it with the correct color. That's all. Yeah, no big deal. I saw that it was wrong and I stitched over it. So don't take it out of the hoop. That's the most important thing. Even if you take it off the machine, do not unhoop it until you're sure that it is completed the way you wanted it to be complete. But if for some reason you happen to do that, then this article supposedly will show you how to remedy that. Um, like I said, I did not read it, so I don't know if it is something that you can do or want to do or what have you. But I just wanted to share that with you, just in case. Now, this particular article, customers purchase versus customer supplied garments, and we talked about that a little bit. What do you want to do? Many embroiderers struggle with their pricing policies on several levels. And what should your margin be? What's your competition charging? What garments or brands will you offer? What's the most cost efficient way to get them in, turned around to your customers, so forth and so on. And they often ponder the dilemma as to whether to accept garments supplied by the customer for embroidery. Many embroiderers struggle with this question and go back and forth, especially when they hit a snag, like the snag that we talked about, um, which brought this topic up when those of us that listened to Jeanette's dilemma. Um, Larger embroiderers simply won't do this. Like brick and mortar stores normally will not take your stuff. They will only embroider on the stuff that they sell. And they have many reasons for that. One, they can't make a profit on garments if you supply them because they buy in bulk and so they can upcharge and make money off of the garment as well as the service. They can't control the quality because sometimes, and I've had this happen to me, where a person wants to bring some cheap stuff in for me to stitch on, and I don't know about that. But the quality may not be good. A lot of customers buy the cheapest thing they can find, which is going to affect the quality of the finished embroidery. You can't replace a garment if the machine tears a hole or otherwise damages it because you can't find it again. It may be an heirloom or it may be a one of a kind or what have you. Um, it it can wreak havoc on the production And I have to tell you, picking out something can take a long time. Now, you've lost your profit if you've even made one. You've lost your profit with the time that it takes to rip out the thread. Now, if Jeanette had been able to salvage those bags by using her Peggy stitch eraser or seam um, ripper, what have you, and take the stitches out and restitch on it, if she had felt that she could have done that, it it would have killed her because it takes a long time to do that. I had to do that recently on something that I stitched, and I had only stitched one letter, and I don't think I even finished that letter. And it took me, I would think, at least 30 to 40 minutes, if not an hour, to get all those stitches out, satin stitches out. I didn't use a Peggy Stitch eraser. I used my seam ripper, and which I use often. I make a decision whether or not I want to use Peggy or a seam ripper. In this particular instance, I decided to use the seam ripper, but it takes a long time because you have to be very careful. You have to pay attention because you don't want to damage that fabric. You want to be able, you don't want a hole put in there, you don't want anything cut. I didn't even unhoop this thing because I didn't want to rehoop it. I just wanted to move it in the right position. It wasn't quite where I wanted it to stitch. When I realized that it wasn't stitching where I wanted it to stitch and I wanted it to be in a different spot, and I decided to do that, to take that stitching that I had already done out and move it on the I didn't have to move it in the hoop. I just moved it on the machine and reposition it. But I decided to take it out. It was mine. It didn't belong to nobody else, but it took a long time. Now just suppose I had decided to do that with something that I was doing for a customer and they had paid me the money. Whatever it is that I made, I lost that hour. That whole hour it took me to take that stuff out to redo. I lost all my money. I lost it all. I didn't make a dime. So that's a risk right there. You may be able to save money by not having to go in your pocket and replace it, which for me would have been a better option because I'd rather lose the money that I made versus spending more money. But the point is, you have to you have to just take that into consideration. Now it says smaller embroidery companies seem to be more willing to deal with these issues and would charge more on the embroidery side to make up for it. Now, I hadn't thought about that. That was a good bit of information or a good tip that I never thought about. If someone brings me their own personal item, or you or anybody, if they bring you their own personal item to stitch on because you're taking a risk, you should charge more money. You should charge more money simply because of the risk. It's like insurance. If I have to take the risk, and that's what insurance companies do, that's why they charge you all this money. And you may or may not get a chance to use it. But if I have to take the risk of using your product and I screw it up and I got to fix the mess, however I decide to fix it, I need to charge extra for the risk. So I never thought about that, but I think that's an excellent idea to do that. But anyway, it says you may charge more money. It's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to accept customer supplied garment in your business. But if you do, here are a few things, in addition to the ones we just talked about, that you may want to consider making a rule about it in your shop. Only accept clean and new garments. And I did not know this because I never had this happen to me. It said, yes, customers will try to bring you old, smelly sweatshirts and t-shirts and team shirts that have been laundered and got stains in it and dirty equipment and so forth and so on. And it said, this makes your equipment dirty, can pound dirt into your needle plates and leave residue for the next order, making it difficult to keep other garments clean. Did not think about that, did not know that, never experienced that. So don't take anything that's not new. Number two, make the customer sign a waiver. Now, I've heard this, acknowledging that they understand that you cannot be held responsible for the garment damages and will not replace the items. Some embroiderers state a 2% or 3% waste policy on larger quantities. Make sure your customer understands your policy. Believe me, it will not be profitable in any way to spend time and money driving around town to replace a customer's garment at retail prices just so they can save a few bucks by providing them to you. So um, that's a good deterrent for them to bring you stuff. Now I do know that there are people that want um, their jacket they already have, or they went and bought this jacket and everything. And when they bought it, that their whole intention was to get it embroidered and everything. They saw it, they liked it. I've had that happen, and I've had an issue, and I was not happy. I was asked, could I do it, and I said yes. And uh, a mis- a problem occurred, and I fixed it. It wasn't at the level that I wanted it to turn out, and thank goodness it was a family member, so I didn't have to worry about losing a customer. But it got damaged. It got damaged, and it was supposed to be leather. It wasn't leather, and did not know it wasn't leather until start stitching on it, and it started having issues and stuff. And I had to come up with some kind of way to fix it to make it look good or look better. It did not look the way that I wanted it to look, so I wasn't happy about it. But um, it is what it is. Stuff happens, so you do have issues. Most embroiderers will refuse items that are irreplaceable, such as grandma's quilt or heirloom handkerchief or a baby christening gown or anything that is one of a kind that cannot be replaced. And here you bringing this precious item to me to put your initial on it or your whatever. And you think, okay, it's no big deal to put an initial on. It's no big deal to put this one little thing on this item. I can just whip it up real quick and hand it back to you. And lo and behold, that's the very time your machine decides to have a bird nest. And we just discussed, you get a bird nest and it get caught up in there and you can't get it out. And you try your best to get it out without cutting it, and oops, accidentally it ripped and it cut, it tore, whatever, and now you've ruined the garment. And how do you fix it? You can't. It's going to always have that hole in it or that rip in it or that split in it or whatever happened to it, and it is never going to be the same. And you thought it was going to be a quick and simple situation, and it wasn't. So that's an irreplaceable item. I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. That would be something that you need to hand stitch. Take it to somebody to hand stitch it, because I would assume hand stitching or hand embroidery is easier to take out. I don't know. I don't hand embroider, but I think that it would be. But that would be the way to go. And a lot of embroideries will not sew on a leather jacket. because once you punch a hole in leather or faux leather, that hole is there. You cannot cover that up without a patch or something. You cannot take the stitches out and go back over it without holes being on there. And now they did recommend and suggest, and this is a potential solution, um, to make the design or whatever it is larger so that it covers up that spot, but you don't know 100% it's going to cover up every little hole that may have punched on that leather. So, and that's what I tried to do with this leather or pleather thing that I had. I tried to cover it all up and everything, and it still didn't work the way I wanted it to work. But that was the solution that I came up with, because once you do that, that's going to be there. Um, so leather is a big issue, and all it takes is one tear, or a hole, and all your profit from the job has gone down the drain, and that's true. And it's the next one is make sure you're charging for your time to go over multiple garment jobs with customers about where the design location will fall on the different garments and thread color differences between the garment color and multiple garments usually mean the designs will need alternate colorways on certain ones to ensure design shows well. Also, go over the garment with your customer and point out any flaws, things, or anything like that so they don't blame you for it. So basically, what they're saying is if you do take someone's item, you need to have a good conversation with that person about what your obligation and what your risks are. And that was um, obligations and responsibility. What are you willing to be responsible for? What are you saying your obligation is? My obligation is to provide you good service and give you a good product. What is my responsibility? Now, am I going to be responsible for your one of a kind uh, $200, $300 item? You bring me a pair of boots that you leather boots, suede boots, whatever. I've stitched on leather boots, suede boots. They're mine. I stitched on them, and I was still nervous about that because they were my boots, and I didn't want to mess them up. And I do have some good boots that I have yet to stitch on because I don't want to mess them up. I stitched on my old boots, but you have to decide: is this a risk you want to take? Is this a risk you want to take? And let the people know up front. Now, will the how would they handle a situation if you say, okay, give me your $500 shirt, but if I screw it up, I'm not responsible for it and I'm not going to replace it. They're not going to bring it to you. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't do it. I would give you my $500 shirt to do anything on, and you telling me up front if you screw it up, you're not going to replace it. No, you're not getting my business. But then on the flip side, me being the person providing the service, I don't want it because I don't want that responsibility. And the only way that I would do it, I would definitely have to tell you I'm not going to replace it. But then I couldn't do that in my own good conscience. That's the issue. I could not do that in my own good conscience saying I messed your stuff up and I'm not going to replace it. So what do? The best thing, in my opinion, is just don't take the job. Don't take the job. But that's just me. Other people may feel differently about that. It just depends upon what is it that you're willing to risk. How much risk are you willing to take? So that leads me into my last thing. What are the solutions and resolutions? Now, for Jeanette, Baroka Sewing and Craft, if you all saw her video last Friday, her solution was to replace those bags that she unfortunately messed up. And these are her words, not mine. So she forked up to $2,000, and she was lucky that she got it at a wholesale price where she saved money because she said it was $3,000 worth of work that was messed up, but she was able to get it down to $2,000 to replace those items out of her pocket. So she didn't make no money. I don't even know what she was going to charge in the first place, but I know doggone well she didn't make any money. She lost money most likely. She still has a customer, which is great because she may recoup her money um, going forward, and she is going to recoup her money because she's going to put patches over that. Just want to let you guys know if you didn't see the video where she did some things that didn't come out right, and so she replaced it. So she owns the bags that are messed up. So she's going to put patches on it and put something on it, and she's going to sell it, which I don't blame her because she's going to sell them or she's going to give them away as a donation or as gifts, whatever she decides to do. So she's going to do something with them so they're not like just, junk that she's put in the trash because they're really nice bags. But the point is, she didn't make any money. She lost money. And it also, oh my goodness, did you all see that thing go out like that? I don't know what made it do that. But that was traumatic. It was traumatic for me, and it didn't even happen. It was like, oh my goodness, it didn't happen to me, but I felt her. I felt her pain. I felt her pain. And I knew everybody that was watching her was feeling her pain because she was getting super chats like crazy. And I don't like people was like, oh, let me help you out. And she was getting super chats. So that was really sweet that everybody was helping her out that way. But uh, the point is her solution and resolution to that issue was to replace it. My solution and resolution would be the exact same thing if I took that risk. I would not be in good conscience saying I'm not going to replace your stuff. I messed it up. Oh, Rudy Tooty, no, because I believe in my work. And if it's my fault, then I'm responsible. So then that goes back to what risk do you take? What is your decision as to what risk you are choosing to take? So I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys to think about. It hit me in the gut to hear about it being a small business. Um, I don't have the kind of business that she has, where she obviously was able to recover financially. For me, that would have just put me under. That just would have put me under. But the thing is, those of you that are out there that does do business or thinking about doing a business or just getting started with a business, I want you to think about that stuff. What are you deciding to do? What are you going to do? What risks are you willing to take? Um, I don't know if I will ever say that I'm not going to take somebody's stuff, but I don't think that I would ever take anybody's stuff. First of all, that's irreplaceable. That's not happening. I'm not doing that. Number two, it would have to be a price limit. I'm not willing to go over a certain price point where I would be responsible for replacing it. And it has to be something that is easily replaceable. That would have to be my um, that would have to be the only way that I would do that. And like I said, I've done that. It's not unusual, an unusual thing to happen because you're going to mess up. Things are going to happen. You're going to mess up, but you have to know what your limit is. So let me see what you guys are saying here. Um, I hear some of you guys are talking about tomorrow night. So I'm gonna try to go back to where I left off. Taisha, you say I have the skills and confidence, but I do not have the time to take on big projects. So I continue to give items. And you say if you have more than one machine, you should always have enough thread for each machine as well as needles for all machines. True, you should. And you have three machines and you have three spools of every color. Okay, that's cool. That's good. And you say this is Taisha. I also purchase large spools of my thread colors and if I run short of any color, I can wind the thread on a small spool and use that. Perfect idea. Good idea. Good idea. And Robin, you said I started purchasing 5,000 yard spools of colors that you use a lot. I do too. The ones that I use a lot, I do the 5,000. I always have 5,000 for my black, my white, my blue, my green. Those are the main ones that I know. And reds, those are the ones that I know I have 5,000 the 5,000 size threads. My fancy colors and stuff like that, I don't have 5,000, but I do need to start because I use a lot of gold. I noticed that I use a lot of gold, so I need to do that. Um, and hi, the best one. How you doing? Hi, Evelyn. How you doing, Evelyn Bunbury? And you say I try to keep one of each of the stabilizer on hand, which is great. And Taisha said I purchase bulk, so I never run out of stabilizer because I know the prices increase, so I purchase enough to last a while. And hit the like button. Thank you for reminding people to hit the like button, the thumbs up, please, the thumbs up. Appreciate that. Thank you, best one, the best uni. And Felicia, you say, I am so afraid to touch my bobbin tension. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You can always get those bobbin cases in bulk. You can get them from Amazon. And if you screw it up, just put another one in. Then you don't have to worry about it. But you need to learn how to fiddle around with it. And hi, Leslie. How you doing? Thanks for dropping in. And I told Felicia what a wiper blade is. And Becky, you're asking, hi Becky, how you doing? You said Taisha, Robin, Leslie, are you ready for tomorrow? You said you are. Well, let me tell you about tomorrow, sister girl. I just started cutting out my material today. I just started. I got a lot of it done, but I didn't get it all done. And so I'll probably cut tomorrow. But I already told you guys that tomorrow I have to take my daughter for her procedure, and I most likely will be back home. I'm 90% sure I'm going to be back home. So uh, I'll be doing the Zoom from my house from here. That's the plan, but things happen. So I will definitely have my laptop with me just in case. You never know. When I leave home tomorrow to take her, just in case I get stuck at her house. But my plan is not for that to happen. But I'm not completely done cutting everything out, cutting cutting everything out. Um, I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, and for the first 3 days of this week, I did not feel well. I have to tell you. And I told you guys earlier when you first came on about having my tooth pulled and all that kind of stuff and taking the antibiotics and taking the pain medicine. The pain medicine was making me woozy, making my head hurt, not hurt, but spin, make me nauseated. I'm in the bed. Just all of that was going on the first part of the week. So I basically did nothing this weekend, which is when I had planned to do a lot of stuff. And just really got my wings back yesterday, to be honest about it. So, uh, not making an excuse, just telling you the truth. I procrastinated because I had my material. I had my material for a couple of weeks. I just didn't do anything. And Carol, you said thanks for the reminder to clean under my needle plate. And Danielle says I'm not ready for tomorrow. I still have to pick out my fabric. Girl, go get that fabric. I don't know if you caught the sale, and I hope the sale is still on. And I'm talking to Danielle, but everybody else that's dealing with the sew along for tomorrow that we're starting for tomorrow. And if you're doing if you're doing a runner from designed by Juju, which I think most of you guys, most of us are, she recommends you use the SF 101. The S is in Sam, F is in Fred 101. Um, um, interface, I guess is what you call it, by Pellon, and you iron it on, and it was on sale. It's been on sale, and I think it's on sale all month. I'm not sure, but it's on. Check and see if it's still on sale. If it is, you need to grab it because it's 50% off. And I think they still got material stuff off on sale as well at Joann's. So just wanted to throw that out there. Felicia, okay, I have a multi needle, so good to know what to look for. Good, good, good. That's Felicia. And Leslie, you say I'm not ready yet, but I hope to be had a paper to complete. Hope to find what I need in my stash. Yep, you and Taisha are lucky enough to shop at home. I had to shop out. and and Danielle, so more. Will be okay to pick out as we go. It will be fun. Yes, it is. It's you. We're not. No, do you whatever works for you. You can pick out as you go. You can cut out as you go. All of that. We don't put any kind of hard requirements on anybody. So don't feel like you're under pressure to be ready to do the thing tomorrow night. It having everything cut out and ready to go is just a recommendation. It is not a requirement. So please don't feel like it is. Um, and Trisha, how you doing? And you said the Ravens are getting closer to the Super Bowl. They are. Yes, indeed. I hope they make it. I hope they make it. Um, so I'm rooting for the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl and take it. You hear me? Take it. Now, I'm also a Chiefs fan. So because I used to live in Kansas City and St. Louis, so I have to let you know I do like the Chiefs too. But since I'm here in Baltimore, I'm Team Raven. I'm Team Raven. But if the Chiefs and the Ravens play each other in the Super Bowl, and I don't know if they're in the same division or not, so I might be wrong because I don't really know what division, but I think they're in opposite divisions, and they end up playing against each other. I'm gonna be rooting for whoever wins. My husband will be rooting for the Ravens. I'll be rooting for whoever wins because I do like Mahomes. Don't y'all get mad at me. Don't y'all get mad at me. But I'm Team Raven. I will have on a Raven shirt. Let's put it that way. I won't have on a Chiefs shirt. I'm gonna have on a Raven shirt. So I'm gonna be rooting for the Ravens. But I'm gonna tell you, I used to do this years ago when I was living in St. Louis, and I used to uh, go to the game with another couple, and it was funny because they would ask me who I'm rooting for, and I would tell them whoever winning, whoever is winning, who I'm rooting for. But this was for the college teams. This was not uh, the NFL. This was we would go to college games and stuff like that, HBCU games and stuff. And if it wasn't my school playing, then I was rooting for whoever was winning, or a SWAC. If it was a SWAC team, I was rooting for them. If it was my alma mater, I was rooting for them. But if it was not my alma mater, I was rooting for whoever was winning. That's just it. So that's how I flow sometimes. And Robin said, "You've lived in Maryland your whole life." Okay, Christian, how you doing? Welcome. And I experienced the frame is too small, and it freaked me out. Went on Facebook to the baby locker lines and got the answer. Yep, yeah, boy, did that just messed me up. And hi, Jenny, how you doing? You're never late. We're always here at least until 10. And Carol said, I know it is not the same, but patches may sometimes be a good way to go. Um, now, patches, that was something that if you got, because I listen to Jeanette's live. I try to catch them every Friday. If I don't, I try to see them at some point. Like a lot of people watch me after the fact. I will do the same with her. And I do remember when she talked about getting the bags and making preparations for the bags, and she was getting the logo and everything digitized and stuff. And her plan was to do patches, which I'm sure she wished she was, but apparently the customer didn't want the patches. So that's what happened. That's why she didn't do patches. Because had she done patches, that would have resolved her whole situation. Because all she had to do was take them doggone that patch off, make another patch, put it back on, and keep on moving. But I was kind of concerned about her doing the patches because she was gonna sew them on. Now I know you can take your time and sew it on, and if you're a good seamstress, you can do a good job and don't mess it up. But sewing patches on a backpack, I don't know how easy that was going to be. I was wondering, well, if you got a free arm, if you got that, still was going to be difficult. That was not going to be an easy task for 50 patches. So I don't know. But anyway, patches. Now iron on patches would have been would have been a breeze. Make the patches and do the iron on. Make the patches and do the iron on. That would have been my solution if and even the 12 that got messed up, and I don't even know if she even thought about it because I don't recall if she mentioned it, if they were willing to let her do patches on those 12 to keep her from having to spend all that money. I don't know. I don't remember whether or not she said that was an option. Because I certainly would have presented it and asked, is this an option? There's only 12 of them. Can we just do patches on these 12? I don't know. 12 out of 50. And hi Sheila, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. But you said that's a lot of material to sew through. It really is. Um, and Santi Cortez, what is your favorite item to embroider? I like doing left chest logos on hoodies and polos and shirts. I just like doing left chest logos. I like that. And I like stitching on tiles. Those are my favorite items to stitch on. Now I like doing jacket backs, but I mainly do jacket backs for myself. I have I've been doing backs hoodies, um, hoodie backs, which can equal to jacket backs. I've been doing some of those for customers. I don't necessarily like that as much as I like doing jacket backs for myself. I don't think that I would want to do a lot of jacket backs for customers. And that depends upon how large they want them. Because if they want them big enough where I need to use the jumbo hoop, I wouldn't want to do that. Because that no, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, a lot of thread, a lot of bobbing, and that would be a lot of money. Because that's time consuming. It's a skill level because you need to charge for your skills. We don't talk about that much. We talk about our time We talk about our supplies. We talk about stitches and stuff like that, but we don't talk about our skill level. What do you charge for your skill level? If my skill is higher than your skill, then I should get paid more money. Isn't that what happens on the job? And these are jobs. That's why they have levels on your job, and that's why people get pay raises, and that's why someone that comes in that has 20 years, or don't even say 20 years. Say, for instance, you got 5 years of doing this job, and then they hire somebody fresh off the boat that's only been doing it for a year or just started. They shouldn't get what you get because you got the skill. You're paying for my skill. So it should be the same way in you doing your embroidery. If you feel like your skill level is up there, then you should be charging for your skill as you should be charging for your risk. Now, that tells you why embroidery is so expensive. If you go to a brick and mortar store, which I have, years before I started embroidering, and I would have things embroidered. They're not cheap. It gets cheaper the more you buy because they set up the machine and everything just run, 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 run. But go in there and want one thing done and see how much it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you some money. I can remember looking at monograms, and I loved monogram things, and I would be looking at having something monogram, and this was 15 years ago, and they wanted $35, $40 just to put a monogram, not even this size, on a shirt or blouse or cuff or something. And I was like, oh my goodness. But I know why. I know why. The value of it. That's a lot of work. And I've seen people say they won't turn their machine on for under $15. They don't care what it is you want. They don't care if you want one initial on a napkin. They're not doing anything less than $15 to turn the machine on. And I'm not mad at them. I understand that. So you know your skill level. Don't forget to charge for your skill level. Taisha said, if I was going to put patches on 50 bags, I would have had the digitizer make the stitching lines for me to sew the patches onto the bag. This way, everything could be done on the embroidery machine. Thank you. I didn't, and Robin said, I didn't know that could they could do that. Yeah, they can do. Great idea. Sure, sure they can. Sure they can. It's just part of the design, and they just stitch it, they just digitize it. It's just like when you're making something in the hoop, and the next the next part and the next part and the next part. So that would be the last part of the design. You do the whole design, and then it's like putting an applique on, and then you put it on there and you stitch it on there. I wouldn't have thought of see, that's why we have Taisha with 35 plus years of experience. Because it takes somebody like her to remember or think about stuff like that. But yeah, Sheila says similar to attack dance. Exactly. Hi Sheila, how you doing? But that is I don't even know if she thought about that. I really don't know if she thought about it because I didn't. But but you're exactly right, and she did have it digitized, so she certainly could have had that done. Even with the 12 bags that got messed up, and I don't know if she's done the resolution yet because in her video, the way she was talking, it didn't sound like she had actually purchased the bags, the replacement bags she was going to. So if she's listening or hearing this, or anybody has maybe somebody can let her know that maybe that's the solution to her problem. Just put a patch on top of it and have the digitizer that digitize the logo, just add that to the to the design and send it to her, and then she can go ahead and put that on there and save that $2,000, and everybody be happy. And just like they mentioned, and I don't know if I read that part, but they mentioned one of the ways to do a resolution with your customer, depending upon how bad the mistake is to not fix the mistake but offer a discount, depending upon how bad. Like if you put um I think one example was somebody wanted right chest logo, and they put it on the left chest because that's what people are used to doing, left chest logo, and they put it on the left chest instead of the right chest. And the customer was okay with it, went out again, and didn't mind and wasn't upset, but they had the conversation with them and they gave them a discount because they made the mistake. Something that's simple like a color change. If they wanted it to be sky blue and you gave them robin blue or something along that line, is not that huge of a difference in the color. um, Not that big of a deal, and you give them a discount. Have a conversation with them and say, I'm not, or in that particular case about the logo thing, they didn't actually give them a discount. They just threw in some extra items. They did caps and stuff for them and threw in a few extra caps. Um, because they already had the inventory. They just put the logo on the caps and gave them several caps free, and the customer was happy. Nothing was messed up. It was just on the opposite side of what they had said they wanted it on, and they got, it was still wearable. It wasn't like it was a uniform that had to be on that particular side or what have you, obviously. So it worked out. So there is something that's going on with my computer, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the internet, the computer, or what's going on, but it keeps doing this little blackout thing. I'm sure you guys are seeing it, but hopefully that doesn't black out completely and stay that way. But yeah. So if she would have a conversation with uh, her customer and make that offer to do patches on those 12 bags, that to me would that to me would be a simple solution and a very reasonable solution for her. And she could do the patches and then give her a discount. That way she hasn't lost any money. Well, she's still losing money because she still got to do more work, but she's not spending $2,000. Put it that way. So those are solutions. So again, um, so Trisha, you say you can still hear me. Did You can still see me though? Hopefully, can you? Let me know if you can still see me because I see me. So I'm assuming nothing. It just blacked out for a second and came back on. It's not still black on you guys' end. Hopefully, I don't know what that craziness was, but whatever. Hopefully, can still hear you though. So yes, I guess that's yes. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So for tomorrow night, I just started cutting out my material today. I am doing an Easter bunny um, table runner that has all these patches things that goes with it. So I cut out all my patch stuff. Today I have not cut out the actual um, background is what they call it, where I actually put the bunny on it and stuff. But I was just looking at everything that needed to be cut and the sizes and all that stuff as I was going through it today. And then when I got all of the surrounding stuff. So now it's five different backgrounds that goes together to make the runner. And there's a bunny on each one. I did not pay any of that any attention until today when I was looking at it. And I'm realizing I need more colors. I need orange for the carrot, which I have, thank goodness. I needed something brown for the Easter basket, which I have, thank goodness. I needed green for some grass, which I have, thank goodness. I need some color for some eggs. Like, I didn't realize I needed all that extra stuff. But again, thank goodness that I do have material. So I had to go rummaging through not what I bought, but what I already had to see what do I have that I can do this with. Now, the issue is I had bought all these beautiful different pastel Easter looking colors. And I had set it up, which one was going to be the first panel, the second, the third, and so forth. And then when I realized I need an orange carrot, how is that going to look with this material that I have as the background? I said, doggone it. Then I need brown. Well, I don't have to have brown, but I picked out a brown for the basket. Is that going to look okay with this material that I picked? And so forth and so on. So I'm like, this is just working my nerve. The main good thing about it is Robin said it would look fine. It's gonna have to because I'm not buying no more material. I'll I'll figure it out. But yeah. Carol said, I love it when I have to buy more color thread. I'm not going back to the store buying another piece of fabric for this project. I'm not. I'm not doing that because I know if I go back in the store, I'll buy more than what I need, and I'm not doing that. I'm using what I got. Like I said, I started digging through my fabric what I already had. And I said, okay, I'm gonna find some orange. I did. I found some green. I did. I found the brown. I did. I gotta have something for the Easter egg. I found it's like shoot. I didn't know I needed all this mess until I started looking at it. It was funny. I had to laugh at myself, and I ended up getting that stuff and just rolling it up, and sticking it back in the bag. But I deal with that stuff later on because I got to get ready for this show tonight. I needed to cook me something to eat. I was like, this is a hot mess. I just knew I was cool. I had all my fabric all picked out, laid out. This is going to be this is going to be this is going to be this. And shoot. Mm-mm. And some of my favorites from 1996. Girl, Robin, girl, 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 girl. Mm. No, I don't have nothing. I may have clothes from 1996 somewhere, but that's the only thing that I tend to keep that long. Clothes and shoes, because I hate getting rid of my stuff that I paid good money for. I'll drag that mess around. Now I'm getting rid of it because I ain't wearing it because I don't work no more, so I don't need all that stuff. Clothes, shoes, costume, jewelry that I accumulated over years from working that I don't need anymore. Those are the things that I may have from 1996. I don't have any material because I wasn't sewing then. And I definitely wasn't embroidering then. There was a lag between when I was actually sewing and when I started embroidering because I never embroidered before, but I did used to sew. I used to make clothes. Wasn't that fancy, I wasn't professional with it, but I used to do it. But there was a huge lag in between there. So now I'm back. I want to get back to sewing clothes, and I do need to get. I want to get back to. Want to get to, and I don't believe I'm letting this come out of my mouth, but I think I want to learn how to do a little quilting. Not a lot. I don't want to do anything fancy because I want to be cutting out all these little bitty squares and stuff. Because I was cutting out all these blocks and stuff today, and I said, "This is not my cup of tea. Mm-mm-mm. I don't like cutting." I know what is the crafty Gemini says her favorite thing is cutting. I'm like, girl, please. I love to cut. I love to cut. I'm like, mm-mm. You better than me because I don't. I don't. The cutting part I don't like. That's what I don't like about it. And good night, Danielle. Souls more. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate that. So, but anyway, I have cut out some things. I still have more things to cut out. So tomorrow night I will probably be cutting. I doubt if I will be stitching anything. I will be cutting and ironing on my SF 101 to get myself started. So those of you that have yet to get your material or pick your material and definitely have not cut out your material, don't feel bad. I think the only person that has said they've done that is Becky. Robin probably has too, because she's always up to par because she's doing 50,000 things at the same time anyway. But the rest of us slackers, we haven't done it. But we will catch up and keep up. Don't worry about that. So any of you guys, I don't want anybody to feel like that they're behind or whatever if you have not gotten your fabric value, so you'll be cutting too. Yep. Don't feel bad if you're cutting, if you're going through your stash, if you got to run to the store, any of those things. Don't feel bad. Just show up tomorrow night. That's all I ask, that we all show up if at all possible. If for some reason you cannot show up, I think everybody has my phone number. I know you have my email. I know you have my email. So if for some reason you cannot show up for some reason, just email me, and then I got to make sure tomorrow night that I let everybody know my phone number if you don't have it already, because we do call each other, and um, that was the reason why I asked for phone numbers and email, because we can keep up with each other, and if people have a difficulty getting on Zoom, that was another thing. Sometimes people can't get in for whatever reason, and then they call and we walk you through and all of that kind of stuff. So uh, that's one of the other reasons why it's important to have the contact information so we can all be on the same page and available. So I think it's about 13 or so of us. I think that was the last number I counted, 13. So we got a good crowd of people. I'm happy about that, and I hope everybody will participate and go all the way through. This is a short so along this time. It's just 5 weeks. Don't feel pressured. I can extend if we need to, and everybody agrees. So don't feel pressured that, oh my goodness, I got to get it done. What I do recommend, which is what we did, if you have the capability and you have the time, if you need to do work outside of our meeting days, that way you are pretty much guaranteed to get done on time. So, like tomorrow night, it looks like a lot of us are going to still be cutting. So it'll be people that won't do any stitching, and which is perfectly fine. So I just want everybody to be chill. I don't want anybody to feel like they're under the gun, under any kind of pressure. There is absolutely no um demands on anybody. We're just here sharing and developing relationships, learning how to do things, getting good tips and ideas from everybody. We have some really good people that are participant. Robin, Becky, Taisha, they give us really good tips on different things that we can do because they're quilters, and Taisha's been doing this for so long. It just rolls off of her. And we suck it all in when she gives us good advice. So that's really great. And we're just here learning. So that's what I just wanted to make sure everybody is aware of that and feel comfortable with that. So you won't feel like, oh my goodness, I'm behind. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Don't, don't feel that way. But like I said, I haven't cut all my stuff out either. And I know I was the one to say, have all your stuff cut out, have your stuff cut out. And here I am, I don't have all my stuff cut out. Crap happens, such as life. And I can't do it in the daytime tomorrow, as I was telling everybody. I can't do it. So I, excuse me, won't be able to do the catch up. And so I will be catching up tomorrow night. But I guarantee you next week I'll be on point. I'll have everything done next week if it's the Lord's will, and I'll be stitching next week. That it won't catch me again, hopefully, unless something else comes up. But with that being said, it's 10 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I know I have people that are wanting to get to bed, and I don't blame them. People got to go to work or whatever it is that they have to do. I have to get up early tomorrow because I'm gonna have a busy day. And thank you guys for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Don't forget me. Don't forget those thumbs ups. They're extremely important. If you have not subscribed, please do. Appreciate that. Don't forget to hit the notification bell for the live. As the live is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you watch my channel, which I hope and pray you do, hit the notification bell for that and subscribe. Thumbs up for those as well. And don't forget, I have memberships. Appreciate it. I just got a new member. I believe it was Joyce. Thank you, Joyce, if you're still on here, for becoming a member for the social crew. So till we begin embroidery, I do appreciate any and all membership. And again, I am open for super chats, super stickers, super thanks. All of those things do help the channel. So again, thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful time the rest of the week. And good night. And for those of you participating in the soul alone, I will see you tomorrow if it's the Lord's will. Goodbye, everybody. Bye bye.